to the stars. No matter who we are, we're space riders with no names. Oh, hello there. 1 second, please. Sorry, folks. I was reading my Star-Lord helmet while reading a couple of these, my early Christmas present I have here. The classic Doctor Who Omnibus, and I also got myself a modern Doctor Who Omnibus. And I just got these, and I enjoyed every single one of these stories from these comics. And believe it or not, folks, I am taking some of the stories from these comics and make my own Doctor Who adventures based in these comics. But I would give credit where credit is due, so don't worry. I mean, after all, I did that one with Death's Head, so I figured, what the hell? Take some from these comics and make another fan-made Doctor Who multi-voice adventures, going through the same adventures as Tom Baker or David Tennant gone through. After all, I do admire those guys anyway. They're my inspirations. Well, besides those two, along with Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, Sylvester McCoy, John Pertwee, and a little bit of the Patrick Troughton. They're the ones I really like. And I also do enjoy Jodie Whittaker, too. And I always seem to love the chemistry between Yasmin Khan, aka Yaz, and the 13th Doctor that Jodie Whittaker played. But anyway, folks, welcome to another multi-voice reviewer. I am the multi-voice. I have many voices, but one opinion. And today, I decided to, since I've done the crossover theory of Guardians of the Galaxy meets Mass Effect, this time I'm going to talk about the game itself. Now, one thing I would have to admit. Now, I got it on my Luna, but the problem is the Wi-Fi signals is it's getting pretty bad recently. I couldn't even finish the game. I mean, it kept getting all glitchy, so we definitely need a Wi-Fi booster, so I can keep on playing without any of the signal glitching it up. And also make my laptop quit cutting out the Wi-Fi half the time. But let's talk. But I did review the cutscenes from the game, so I got the gist of the movie. So let's get to the game itself, ladies and gentlemen. It all started with Peter's mom, Meredith Quill. And I gotta say, the way that she looks in the game, they definitely went for the 80s look. It had the old-fashioned hairspray 80 hairstyle. I remember my aunt Shelley, my mom, and even my aunt-in-law, Crystal. I mean, they went for that kind of hairstyle. But sadly, I guess that dies down. Now, Peter has gone through a fight because somebody pissed him off, and he starts listening to a band called Star-Lord that is made up for this game, and they're the ones who made the song that I've been singing, like Zero to Hero and Space Rider with No Name. And when Peter, as a little kid, with his 80s look, with the blonde mullet and all that, back then I used to think that mullets were cool, but now I'm starting to see how ridiculously stupid they are. I mean, this is why I'm not going for a mullet. Definitely not. I'm all business, all over. No party in the back. But anyway, Peter decided to go to meet his mom to celebrate his birthday, and it turns out that it was just one of Peter's flashback, because he's in the Milano with Drax the Destroyer. And a little known fact, I noticed that there's a poster in his room of Dazzler. One thing, for those of you who don't know about the Dazzler here is an X-Men character. She is a pop diva who has mutant powers, and she has like, I mean, her powers are a little bit like Jubilee, but more powerful. And even she's a pop diva, she had to hide the public, not letting people know that she's a mutant. So it's kind of hard for her, struggling between her being a pop diva and a mutant, and even a member of the X-Men, trying to protect people who hates and fears mutants. But anyway, Drax the Destroyer woke him up, and, I mean, you start out as Peter in the game, and you walk around your room, looking at yourself and all, and then you went over to meet Rocket and Groot. Turns out that in the game, the members don't understand Groot except Rocket. And Rocket, he's creating these new machines called trackers or beepers or something like that, but it makes a annoying sound that only animals can hear. Now, you cruise around talking to some of the characters, and then you get to the deck, and there you meet the Gamora. And they went to an area where all these crashed ships are all stuck together with this pink gooey stuff. And they get whatever they needed from there until they discovered that they thought they were dealing with a beast, but it turns out it's a space llama named Cammy. And Groot seems to attach himself with Cammy, that's why he's keeping it around, but Rocket don't like it. But, as usual, members of the Nova Corps, why is it that the Nova Corps is giving the Guardians a hard time, even though they're trying their best as being an intergalactic hero for hire? I mean, that's the whole part of being a Guardians of the Galaxy. They're heroes for hire. They're the intergalactic space heroes that people can contact if the Nova Corps is too busy doing something else. And they get a contact to Peter Quill's old flame, who is a member of the Nova Corps, a Kree woman who goes by the name of Corel. So, sadly, he has to dock in the Nova Corps, and the Nova Corps pointing their lasers at them, and even introducing them, even though Groot was doing all the paperwork. I mean, but why they always keep mispronouncing them? They're Guardians of the Galaxy, not Guardians of the Galaxy. Gardeners of the Galaxy. And then they meet another Kree, a sort of like a 12 or 13-year-old little Kree girl named Nikki. She decided to start helping Peter until we meet this guy, a religious nut who is a member of the Church of Truth named Raker from the Church of Truth. And Raker somehow did something exploded inside the Nova Corps, so Peter had to save Nikki, and Nikki helps him out, and there they meet Kal-El. Kal-El is very disappointed in Nikki, but Nikki is like, hey, you gotta stop treating me like I am helpless. I know what I'm doing. Of course, she does have the same attitude, just like Peter Quill. Now, of course, this game is a lot like Mass Effect. That's why I thought up that crossover theory, because this game is a lot like Mass Effect. Except you don't design your own Peter Quill, or design its own background, but you could choose on what decision you say, sometimes when people ask you questions, you make good decisions and gives them their good side, and sometimes you'll say you make bad decisions and people will stop liking you. So whatever you do affects the team. And of course, Corell took Peter into his office, into her office, and there he remembers that little vintage action figure of Chewbacca. Turns out that when Peter was abducted by aliens, he took Chewbacca with him, his toy Chewbacca with him, and trying to fulfill his dream being like Han Solo, and his toy Chewbacca was supposed to be his Chewbacca, and she kept his figure. He kept that figure with him because when he left her, he told the Chewbacca to take good care of her. So what? Was Peter going through a frozen bicarbonate? But he had a chat with Corell. They've done a lot of damage throughout space. And one thing, he wants to promise her that he wants to go clean with the Nova Corps and settle something so they can be on good terms with the Nova Corps. And the only thing they can do that, she says that they have to pay them 7,000 units. 7,000 units? How can I going to get that kind of dough? Now, they're all talking about trying to find a way to make some money. Now, Drax had one idea, but they said, no, that's a bad idea. But they need one of their members to become a ferocious monster for Lady Hellbender. Because it turns out in this game, Lady Hellbender, she's really interested in strong, heroic warrior types, and also loves monsters. So she's more into alien animal nature. Even monstrous ones. So, they decided, now, it's up to you to use either Rocket or Groot, but to me, I rather use Groot, because he's all big and he can be ferocious as he can. And give Groot to Lady Hellbender, she gives you like 7,000 units, and then, actually she gives you more than 7,000, believe it or not. Like 12,000. And then you try to get Groot back, and she gets pissed off, so she sent one of her monsters to try to kill him, but you defeat the monster. And then you go back to Nova Corps, and you discovered every single member of the Nova Corps, they're gone. For some reason. Everybody's gone. And then when they found some of the members of the Nova Corps, it looks like some of the members were like brainwashed, and they started killing each other for some reason. So now they had to fight their way out of the Nova Corps. I think it's got something to do with what Riker did. So one thing they had to do, they had to go all the way to nowhere and let Cosmo know. And there you start meeting Mantis. Now, I like this Mantis a whole lot better. I love the Mantis from the MCU, and the Mantis from the Tall Tale game, she's overly sensitive. Like, every time when people fight, she wants to cry and wants to be somewhere else. But this Mantis, she's a little nut. But she does sense the future, and she does see what's going to happen, so she's more like in the comic version. And also, she's more of a smiley, optimistic type. Going like, hello, Mantis here. Oh, trust me, your future, sooner or later, you guys are going to die. So I'm here to help you out so you guys can be safe. Now, some people kind of think she's kind of creepy, but I like her. A lot. Much better. And of course, if you go into the bar, you meet this one alien who knows Peter Quill. He goes by the name of Lipless. And he starts singing the song called Storm Rider. Like him and Peter Quill did a duet over Storm Rider. Yeah, Storm Rider. Wow. So, after being with Lipless, he gives you a card to the Collector Emporium. That's a place where the Collector lives. And one thing you can do there is get a doll for Gamora, because in this game, Gamora, she collects dolls. Wait, is that what Yondu do? I mean, in the MCU, he always likes to collect knickknacks. But, Gamora, on the other hand, she likes to collect dolls. And, of course, seriously, a vintage Chewbacca action figure? Well, if I'm going into space, the only vintage action figure I'm taking with me is my Tom Baker action figure, since this is a 1987 vintage action figure, along with my, David Tennant. Would you like a jelly baby? I don't see! I love doing Tom Baker and David Tennant. I mean, they are the most iconic ones of them all, and I just can't get enough of those two. I mean, I enjoy them more than any of the other Doctors. Although I do enjoy Matt Smith, and some people do compare me to Matt Smith. But with Doctor Who aside, all of a sudden somebody tells you have to find Cosmos somewhere else, and you go in the brain area of Nowhere, since the Nowhere is the decapitated head of a Celestial. So you have to go to the brain area, and it turns out that Lady Hellbender sent two of her warriors called the Blood Brothers. They're sent to try to kill you, so you have to try to fight them, but also avoid their hits. And then Gamora shows up, and then Drax, and then Rocket and Groot, and then Cosmo in the fight. And then they tell Cosmos about what happened, and he thinks he needs some more information about it, so they need to go back to the Nova Corps base. So they went to the Continuum Cortex. And they went back to the Nova Corps. And that's when they found a video, and it turns out that they found Raker. And it turns out that they found Nikki, but it turns out that there is this big purple glow covered with black spikes going everywhere, and somehow it killed Corell, but Nikki, she grabbed the Soul Stone, so now she meets Riker and gets brainwashed by Raker, becoming a member of the Church of Truth. As what Martin Lawrence would say in Bad Boys, this shit's got real. And it turns out that Drax... I mean, Peter decided to meet the one who is involved of the Nova Corps, the one who started the Nova Corps in the first place, the Xandarian World Mine. And they try to contact World Mine for help, but it turns out that most of the Nova Corps have been manipulated by Raker, so Xandarian Mind World has nothing to do. I mean, decided to stand by and let the rest of the universe fall into the Church of Truth and get all brainwashed. So, Peter Quill... Turns out the whole team got manipulated, but Peter Quill, he saw his mother, and he thought he saved her, but it turns out it wasn't real. All this wasn't real. And then he went to a place where he met his young self, and then he met Nikki, waiting in her room because it's Corell's birthday, and she was trying to make a surprise party. So, I mean, it kind of makes him think he's in an alternate world where Corell is alive and she ends up with Peter, and he becomes a father to Nikki. But when he opened the door, the soul of Corell tells him, "I'm dead, I'm not real, snap out of it!" And it turns out that Drax, he got manipulated, so he locked him into the room, but thanks to Cammy, the llama, he ate a hole in Peter's room, made him able to escape, and got everybody else escaped. And there they contacted Mantis and wants her help to get Drax to snap out of him, because the manipulation makes him think about his wife and daughter, and making him think that he can find a way to bring him back, but they're long gone. So Mantis, they decide to get inside. I mean, they meet this person who turns out to be Adam Warlock, and it turns out that it was his fault. He was the one who started the Church of Truth. And Raker, I mean, he knew he was absorbing all the sins of every single alien that he meet, and it developed an evil dark side of himself called Magus. And it's absorbing more from the Soul Stone, so he wanted to escape from the Soul Stone so he would not be Magus. But somehow Raker took the Soul Stone and turned the Church of Truth into a cult. Because Raker, he's so hell-bent in trying to get his son back, because somehow in the past, Raker's son was murdered, and he was so determined in trying to get him back, but you can't bring the dead back. It's impossible. So when Mantis, she helped the Guardians and Adam Warlock to get inside Drax's head, and there they meet their version of Thanos. So, in the game, you had to defeat Thanos again. But like I said before, when I was playing the Tall Tale version of Guardians of the Galaxy, killing Thanos in that game felt good. But I guess in this game you can also defeat Thanos again. So they went back to the area where Raker is at. Adam goes one-on-one against Raker, and of course Rocket shot a tracker into Adam's butt in case if he went off somewhere else they could find him. And they were trying to save Nikki, but Nikki was too stubborn. And then, here's the thing. Gamora, she is so determined on trying to free Nikki from this cult, it's because she reminded her so much of Nebula. Because Nebula was so manipulative by Thanos that she tried her best to snap Nebula out of it, but she was too far gone from Thanos that Gamora had no choice but to kill Nebula. And she feels miserable about it. And she couldn't tell the team about it because they would think of her as a murderer. And even think that having a murderer in their team is not a good thing. But at least she confessed what she did, and that counts for something. She has more issues than they do, and that makes her good enough for the team. And of course, Cosmo got manipulated, but they unbrainwashed Cosmo because Cosmo kept thinking he was on Earth. Yeah, in the game, Cosmos is a guy, not a girl, like in the MCU. And they were trying to help Nikki and trying to have her snap out of it. And even But all out, they failed. So right now, this is the part in the game where they feel like all hope is lost and there's nothing they can do. Even Peter is trying to think what to do, but he needs time to think. Until... And of course he knows that Lady Hellbender is still pissed at them. So he decided to go for Drax's idea. Go to the planet where Fing Fang Foom is at, and give Fing Fang Foom to Lady Hellbender. So they went to the planet, battled against Fing Fang Foom, and then, when they finally defeated Fing Fang Foom, Lady Hellbender showed up, and she was not happy. But Mantis showed up, because she knew that Lady Hellbender would kill them for what they did to Fing Fang Foom, so she's trying her best to let Lady Hellbender hear them out. And she was so pissed of them killing Fing Fang Foom, but Groot, with his ability, he brought Fing Fang Foom back to life. And they asked her help to try to save Nikki and put an end to the Church of Truth. And since the Church of Truth is attacking the planet where Fing Fang Foom lives, Lady Hellbender decided to join with them. And Cosmos and Cosmos, he's controlling Nowhere now, and he decided to help the Guardians, and also Mantis is now driving the Milano. And even the Xandarian's mind world, he was convinced that they need to fight to put an end to the Church of Truth. And when Peter Quill finally got back to Nikki, he went back into that alternate mind thing. And he's trying his best to tell Nikki that she is gone. Her mother is dead. But she wouldn't listen. And then there was a knock on the door. And then there was the soul of Corel. Somehow her soul got into the Soul Stone and tried to tell Peter that he needs to help Nikki. And he wants to know if... Peter Quill was convinced that Peter was with Corel and had a daughter named Nikki. But it turns out that Nikki is not their child. She is a war orphan. And of course, yeah, one thing I gotta say, the Kree Empire, one thing about the Kree, they always prefer the Kree to have pure-blooded Krees. So they don't accept mixed race with the Krees. No mixture in the Kree culture. And they say that any Kree falls in love with somebody who's not a Kree, that's punishable. But it turns out that Nikki was a mixed blood and became a war orphan. That means her parents were part Kree, part something else, and died by some sort of war. And of course, how the Kree are, if there's any orphans during the war, they don't take care of the orphans. They eliminated them. So Kal-El decided to take Nikki in as her daughter. And Peter, he finally decided to snap Nikki out of it, telling her that Kal-El is gone. She is dead. She's never coming back. And she's still being stubborn, so Peter had to do something to convince her. He destroyed the package, that Christmas package that she made for Kal-El. He destroyed the cake, and even destroyed the holographic planets. So now Nikki is really upset. And she also knows the truth, that Peter is not her dad. But she doesn't even know how to cope because she feels like that it was her fault that Corel died. But it turns out it was never her fault. It was the Magus, the evil source itself. So, one thing that he can keep Corel in spirit is always light one single candle that represents her. It's silly, but it is the Earth way. So now Nikki finally snapped out of it, and she got out of this device where she was contacting with the Magus, and now Nikki has a new look. I do like the flaming hair that she has. I mean, that is a good look on her. And Raker was so upset he was trying to get her back into the thing, but of course Nikki stopped her, and the Guardians, I mean, they all started fighting against Raker, and Raker was gone. So for now, everything is over. The power of the Magus is gone, and so is the Church of Truth. And Nikki decided to join the Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh yeah, one thing I did not mention because I didn't know, because I was watching the video at the time and did not get the whole story. But here's something I'm going to add as a bonus on my crossover theory. On my crossover theory of Guardians of the Galaxy meet Mass Effect, if Nikki is with the Guardians of the Galaxy and meets the characters from Mass Effect, she would definitely get along with Jack, and also get along, but definitely get along more to Tali Zora because of her love of technology and such, and also Garrus because she likes how Garrus is. I mean, former CSEC officer now becomes a vigilante named Archangel. I mean, to Nikki, she thinks that's badass, and she would definitely get along with those two, Tali and Garrus Vakarian. But anyway, back to the review. I mean, during the credits, you hear a conversation with the characters, and since now they have Nikki as the member at the Guardians of the Galaxy, they start arguing over who gets to share the room with her. So now Peter's thinking they need a bigger room in their Milano. And right in the middle of the credits, here's the biggest one. There's another game level in the middle of the credits, and involves Adam Warlock now becoming Magus himself. And Magus is about ready to destroy the planet in the solar system. So now it's up to the Guardians and Nikki to defeat Magus. And after the whole fight, everybody thought Peter Quill was dead. But as usual, Groot brought Peter back to life. And now Adam Warlock feels bad at what he did, and they both are arguing over the Soul Stone, since the Soul Stone is the one that turned Adam Warlock into Magus in the first place. Rocket thinks that he should keep the Soul Stone and sell it to make some money off of it. But Adam says it's better that the Soul Stone stays with Adam, because anybody else who uses a Soul Stone is way too dangerous, and it would create more problems and more chaos in the galaxy. So Peter asked Mantis what would happen. I mean, he asked her what would happen if Rocket sells the Soul Stone. And she said that would create more problems. And then he asked her, what if he give the Soul Stone to Adam Warlock? And she said, less problems. Not too much problems. So, in the game, right decision. the Soul Stone stays with Adam. And of course, at the end, at the end of the credits, back on the credits, and at the end of the credits, Peter Quill's looking at a mirror, talking to himself, because now he has a bigger responsibility. Now he has to be a dad for Nikki, since now she's a new member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Need to get a bigger room, and wondering if he doesn't even know if he's going to turn out to be a good dad for her or not. And of course, there's even like side stories, like showing pictures of all the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy and talk about what they did after the game, like Gamorrean becoming a skilled assassin and start teaching the League how to fight like her, all stealth. And Peter calls her a intergalactic space ninja, and she doesn't understand what he means by that, and so on and so forth. Anyway, this is all of Guardians of the Galaxy, the video game, for you guys. If those of you who likes my review of Guardians of the Galaxy, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe. And, yeah, next week, it's going to be June. And you know what that means? Besides my birthday, I decided to bring back Asian Month. So I'm going to be reviewing some Asian stuff. There's a lot of Japanese and maybe Chinese stuff for me to talk about. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm going to start out since, on my birthday, I'm going to go to this Doctor Who museum/store called Who North America. And this is like a Whovian's dream come true, because I never been to that place, and I want to go there, I want to check it out, I want to get some of the merchandise, and probably play some pinball, because there's a pinball game in that museum, and I'm a sucker for pinball. If there's a pinball machine, I'm like, quarter, come on, give me a quarter, I want to play! So, this is Michael A. Graham, a.k.a. Multi-voice, saying, I remember so I can jog your memory. Hey, hey, what is the matter when you feel right? Yeah, don't feel right.